Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up. Make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play a role. Get where you need to. You can tune in from work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait? It's a time calling. It's a show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show, my people. Billies our hope, so to need less reason. Nobody feel left out, is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that must be happen under God blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB.
Good morning. Yeah, it's Tuesday morning, 11th of March, 2025. And wherever you are, we hope that your Tuesday morning is getting off to a lovely start. And we are especially delighted because you know what? You there. And you could be 1,000 other places, but this is where you're going to start your Tuesday, and that's wonderful for us. It's time for your WUB, Wake Up Billy's Morning Vibes, and it's coming to you on Creme Radio and XTV. So to those who are listening, to those who are watching, to those getting us on their apps or social media streams, of course, we're available on your Facebook. We're available on your YouTube, where we always urge you to do that next big thing, and that is to subscribe. That strengthens us and gives us the strength to strengthen you when you do need to lean on the strength of our broadcast medium. And to those getting us via simulcast coverage, yeah, welcome to your house where you start your day. Yep, that's where it begins, right here, live from back of the zinc. I'm your host this morning, Mose Hyde, and we do hope that as you start your new day, you have great health, your energy cup full, your vibrations positive, and that you have all plans to be with us for a good while, commitment. And more importantly, you'll be able to jump in, because this is a conversation, Billy's premier morning conversation, getting started after a 3-day weekend. The WUB is now. For those who are familiar, you know that we get started with what we call the warm-ups. Of course, we've got some morning news for you, but before we do that, we've got weather. And the weather this morning is by the Chief Met Officer, who's on forecast duty. Ronald Gordon is here.
Morning, Belize. Satellite imagery overnight showed that skies were generally cloudy across the country, while radar and surface observations showed that rainfall was minimal. Generally fair weather conditions are expected for the next 24 to 48 hours. As a result, you can expect variably cloudy skies today and clear to partly cloudy skies tonight. Little or no rainfall is expected. High temperatures today will be around 84 Fahrenheit along coastal areas, 86 inland, and 76 in the hills. Lows tonight will be near 76 Fahrenheit along the coast, 68 inland, and 64 in the higher elevations of the mountain Pine Ridge. Winds this morning will be out of the north and northwest at 10 to 20 knots, and then a shift to the northeast is expected later today, with winds decreasing to around 5 to 15 knots. Sea conditions will be moderate. There will be a high tide at 9 this morning, and a low tide follows at 2:17 this afternoon. Sunrise this morning is at 3 minutes after 6, and the sun will set at a minute after 6 this evening. The moon will rise at 4:06 this evening and set at 5 minutes after 5 tomorrow morning. The outlook for Wednesday and Wednesday night is for mainly fair weather, with only isolated showers, if any. In terms of sargassum, you can expect some mats to continue drifting ashore, producing moderate impacts. And that's your morning weather forecast from the National Meteorological Service. For more detailed and current information, please visit our website at www.nms.gov.bz. Have a pleasant morning.
The first private in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
And now we have some morning news for you. 3 people were violently killed over the long holiday weekend in the old capital. 33-year-old Mark Usher was fatally shot around 8:30 Saturday night. Reports are that Usher had just arrived at his residence on Jabiru Street near Farber's Road Extension in a blue Chrysler car when a man on a small bicycle opened fire in his direction. The assailant then fled on the bike towards Farber's Road Extension. Usher was rushed to the KHMH but succumbed to his injuries while receiving treatment. Police are seeking one suspect for questioning. On Sunday morning, a silver Ford Explorer pickup truck collided into the Carlisle Memorial Hospital at the building's entrance. A security officer on duty who was nearby was injured by debris from the crash. Reportedly in the truck were multiple gunshot victims. The driver was rushing to the hospital but lost control as the vehicle entered the compound. All injured persons were quickly rushed inside for medical treatment. The 3 gunshot victims were identified as 37-year-old Ron Lee Patillo, 18-year-old Shamar Faber, and driver 22-year-old Joseph Lee Garcia. According to reports, the men were in the pickup driving along the Philip Golson Highway in Belize City before 9 a.m. when, as they approached Titanic Bar, another vehicle overtook them and an occupants opened fire at them. Garcia then drove towards the KHMH when the accident occurred. Garcia succumbed while receiving treatment. Another man succumbed to gun violence on Sunday in Belize City. Reports are that 42-year-old Rafael Antonio Caceres was shot at his residence on Arlington Drive off Farber's Road in Belize City sometime afternoon. We understand that Caceres may not have been the intended target. Reports are that Caceres was at home with his family when a man rushed up the stairs and fired several shots at him. The shooter then fled and escaped along Robinson Lane. Reports are that Caceres' brother was the intended target as he had stayed the night at the house. 2 employees of the Belize City Council got into an argument on Saturday and it turned violent. The men 44-year-old Calvin Cumberbatch and 45-year-old Travis Flowers were on Orange Street in Belize City when the incident escalated. Flowers pulled out his licensed firearm and shot Cumberbatch to his upper body several times. Flowers then fled the scene. Cumberbatch was transported to the KHMH and is listed in a stable condition. Police later detained Flowers for questioning and the firearm has been retrieved. On Sunday, Flowers was charged with attempted murder, use of deadly means of harm, and dangerous harm. The body of a man which was discovered in Haluva Creek near the Belchina Bridge in Belize City on Saturday morning has been identified as 33-year-old Elton Emmanuel Wabon, a resident of York Street in Belize City. Reportedly, police found no signs of injury on the body. There were also reports that Wabon had been admitted at the Carlisle Memorial Hospital but discharged himself on Friday night. A fire broke out around 1 early Sunday morning in Lords Bank, Belize District, leaving 2 Central Transit buses completely destroyed and a third with damages. According to reports, the watchman was asleep in one of the buses and was awakened by the sound of an engine being started. He then noticed that the front portion of the bus was on fire. He tried to put out the blaze, but it quickly spread to 2 adjacent buses. The buses, 2 of which were insured, were valued at a total of $53,000. 2 of the buses were operational. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has advised that Belize now has 20 confirmed cases of New World screwworm infections. Belize was the last Central American country to report an infection, which our first confirmed case being announced on December 26th in the Toledo district. 19 new cases have been confirmed since the start of the year, including an infected dog in January, all contained in Toledo thus far, particularly in Quiquesaco and San Pedro, Colombia. Residents are urged to report any cases of suspicious wounds to the Belize Agricultural Health Authority. Residents of Hopkins, Sandquik, or Yugadan as they affectionately call their community, joined together on Friday to demolish a concrete fence which was blocking a public road. The fence was built by an outside investor. One of the organizers posted on Facebook that those who showed up to work did so for free. According to a tourism-based Facebook page focused on the village, the residents followed proper procedures and were granted permission from authorities to remove the fence that was obstructing the public road. A statement on the page notes Hopkins is for all the members of the community and not just individuals who wish to do as they please. Respect the community and let's continue to foster harmony upon which the community of Hopkins Village was built. The Labor Department on Monday reminded employers that they are legally obligated under Section 29 of the Representation of the People Act, Chapter 9, to grant their employees reasonable time off work so they can cast their vote in Wednesday's general elections. Employers are also reminded that they are not to deduct wages or impose any penalties on employees who need time to vote. The department also asked that employers are flexible when considering that some employees may need to travel on that day. And that's it. Morning news concludes. We will take ourselves a small break, and when we come back on the other side, you know how we work. We got conversation, which of course is driven by you. We've got to get you online this morning, as we always try to do. So, small break, no move, keep it right there, listening to Creme Radio, watching XTV. We'll be back.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
Welcome to Atlantic Online. In this step-by-step video, we will show you how to
Welcome back to the WB Wake Up Billy's Morning Vibes on this Tuesday morning, the 11th of March 2025. Mose Hyde in the house with you on this Tuesday morning, and we now invite you to jump in and utilize the fact that we are a conversation-based morning show, and your participation is of the essence. It's really the main ingredient here, and we've got a phone number here on set for you to utilize. And that number is 280-5848. That's the live line for you to be a part of the conversation. And we love when you call in. We have a call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Good morning, Mose. This is Sandra Coy.
Good morning.
If you recall last week Monday, I called in and discussed various anomalies, flaws that exist in our electoral system. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Well, on Friday, and if you recall, I ended with a conclusion that the media, the national media, becomes complicit by promoting, reporting, not citing these anomalies, not even paying any attention to them. Well, most on Friday, I don't know if you happen to listen to your radio station on Friday. My concern was on full display on your radio station. And before I go there, I'd like to alert you that you all are running an ad in Spanish. I think it's a translation of an ad in English about voting. And this is for the young lady who I think is the same one that does the two ads, because in English you have this sort of American accent, seductive. You know, you see, we know to manage our people, and that's an example of the management. So in the Spanish now, there are grammatical errors, lexical errors, choice of vocabulary, pronunciation errors. And why am I noting this? Because no less than on that radio station, Mr. Arthur is rather informed all the listeners in the country and outside of the country that of the possibility that Spanish will be declared, I don't know if it is the official language or one of the official languages, and I call and ask, well, which Spanish are we going to be using, given that the Spanish that the people who crossed over in the 1800s speak is not up to mark, and the new migrants, they speak a way better Spanish. Literacy is much more now than it was, let's say, in 1982, because literacy is rising because of Protestantism in Latin America. But how are you going to make a language when the usage in the country is poorer than English is bad enough and this Spanish is worse? So I'm just alerting you about that, Mose. Now, what happened on Friday saddened me. And I am going to presume that it is the circumstances came about because the participants they weren't really aware of the gravity of the matter. Mr. Anthony Sylvester, the Attorney General, was invited into your studio, but we didn't know what he was going to discuss because no discussion format was laid out. So it started out, and I can't remember if they started with the expunging, and I didn't know what that was about. I understood what that was, but I wasn't too sure if we were to understand that that had a relevance to something current or elections or... that was discussed. Then at some point in the discussion, in the first part of the discussion, Newey asked Mr. Sylvester if the election was an unconstitutional one. Now, when I called in on Monday morning, I knew that somewhere between Monday and the end of the week, some official was going to be brought in who would authoritatively state that the election was lawful and nothing wrong with it and all of that. I expected that. And it's sad that I should be able to expect that, but I expected it. So, Mr. Sylvester, the media adamantly declared it's constitutional, okay? But you never asked him for the reasons. What are your reasons for saying this? What are your grounds? And I wasn't too sure where the unconstitutionality started, if it had to do with the thing in court. Well, somewhere it was linked to the court matter. So, Mr. Sylvester now changes course mid-track and said he's not going to be able to speak on the matter, on the very constitutionality, because the matter is before the courts. So, okay, we the listeners are left, at least I was left hanging, okay. So first it's a constitutional election, but we weren't told what and why, what was the unconstitutionality that Newry may have been perceiving, and what was the constitutionality that Mr. Sylvester was perceiving. That was not explained to us, no. Then comes along the mention of the court, and then that stops right mid-track, and we are told we can't discuss that because it is before the courts. So I don't remember what other thing came after that. Then they go to break. So when they come back from break, I am praying that Newry will bring up other anomalies. But then if you see, Mose, if you, not you, and when I'm saying you, I don't mean you, if one does not accept that something is wrong with your child, with your wife, with your husband, with your mother, with your father, with your country, with your government, then you can't even initiate a discussion on the wrongs, because you start off with the religious belief that Almighty God is operating here and all is right and beautiful because it's an Almighty God undertaking. So I waited then to hear whether the matter would come up. At least no anomalies were brought up. I can't tell you how long that was, Mose, but I decided, and I prayed about it, because really I had decided I was going to call the radio on this matter, so I had enough. But I called in, why, Mose? I voted the first time in 1974, I think it was. And I voted at Ebenezer, because at that time, those of us living in, well, what I will call the Pitstop constituency, voted at Ebenezer. And I went early in the morning. I can't remember if my father and I went together. I know my mother and I didn't go, she wasn't going to be on time. So when I got there, and you stood in line, the space between the table, the line of tables and the door was not a very great space. But there was no line, so I got in right away. And the gentleman attending to me, I didn't know him. I can't remember his face, but I didn't know who it was. Tore a ballot paper out of a book like a raffle book. But to my surprise, he wrote my name on the stub. The only thing on the stub was a number. You know the way in a raffle book, you have the raffle portion and then you have the stub, and on the stub will go the name of the person who purchased the raffle, right? And their address or phone number, contact number. That didn't have that. That only had a number. I can't remember if the number was red or it was black, but there was a number. And he wrote, and I, taken aback, I said to him, but why are you writing my number on that stub? He looked frightened and said, that's the way I'm supposed to do. I said, well, how can it be what you're supposed to do? But I didn't I voted. The next election would have been in 77, which would have been a municipal, if I'm not mistaken. I voted again. But in 79, we voted at Mr. Barney Isaac's business place there on Northfront Street. So you were nowhere near, you couldn't see what was happening with stuff and all of that. And you were, that was an agitated election, the election of 79. So you're already emotionally distraught. So you're not on your P's and Q's to watch what is happening. So I can't tell you if they wrote on a stop. And I know for the second one, I didn't have an occasion to raise a quarrel about the stop. But what I know it did for me most, I decided after that first experience that I was going to write into my sociology class, because I was teaching sociology for the University of the West Indies, the A-level program, a complete component on the political electoral system in the modern industrial society. I did that intentionally from that day forward. Whenever I taught sociology for the exams, the external exams, I had a specific unit on that. So it's something that has long bothered me. My bother about this doesn't start now. It didn't start in 2003. It didn't even start in 83 when we began to fight the electoral rules. I began at an early age to realize something was very wrong with our electoral system. Very wrong with it. In addition, Mose, I don't know if you as a black person are aware that the secret ballot emerged in Australia, right? And why Australia? This is my theory. In Great Britain, a movement had begun called the Charter Movement. And the several working people came together and wrote a charter, and that charter called for, among other reforms, the establishment of the secret ballot. Because they were calling for people to be able to vote even if they never had property. Because remember, all along up until then, the only people who could vote were propertied males, and in the case of slave societies, propertied white males. No blacks could vote in the structure, in the system. So what happened, those early people in 1838, that movement, I think it's about 1838, that movement emerged. Most, they were jailed. Many of the leaders, they broke up the movement by jailing the leaders and expelling the leaders to the penal colony as convicts to Australia. And my theory is, you see how God is? The very people the British got rid of were instituted in Australia, in Victoria, in August of 1856. By 1870, between 1870 and 1874, Canada, New Zealand, and Great Britain would institute the secret ballot. The United States did not institute it until 1888. And they would institute it in 1888 because of the dreadful rivalry voter buying that took place in the presidential election between Cleveland and Harrison about 10 years earlier. You see, voter buying, and then as though that were not bad enough, the person who had written down the instructions for all the voter buying, his papers got revealed. I don't need to tell you the scandal that produced. And so both Cleveland and an American man married to an Australian woman who had witnessed the secret ballot, he went on the campaign to sell the secret ballot to Americans, and it would enter the American system. But things can be perfect rules and still be used for the wrong purposes. What do you think if the thing don't go bad work, that is worse? In the United States, guess where the secret ballot was most cherished? In the southern states, the southern states, why do you think that XTV, why do you think it was that move? Why do you think?
Why they would prefer the secret ballot?
They prefer the secret ballot and was enacted in 2 states initially and then was spread. And it's the southern states, strangely enough, love the secret ballot. Why do you think they love the secret ballot?
Well, I imagine that it gave them the assurance that they could vote for the things which the South traditionally endorse and support, which...
okay, let me give you a hint. It had to do with black voters.
But this was done before, after...
after the Civil War. After the Civil War, and after the court matter that determined that blacks were free citizens and able to vote under the 15th Amendment to the Constitution.
I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss.
Oh, let me explain what happened. Prior to the secret ballot, for example, in Great Britain, when you voted out in the open. So there would be a big gathering, and there was not much to entertain people in those days, no reality TV, nothing. So that was a happening. And on that day, they would gather, and there would be a platform, and then the people who were going to be the candidates were all suffragette men. Nobody was a candidate who was not suffragette. And the people voting for them would either shout out their name, bold high, stand up for it, and then everybody knew who you voted for, right? But you never have to do no writing. You just shout out the name. The other method that obtained about the same time was Sandra would have a red paper, Mose would have a green paper, Johnny would have a yellow paper, Jimmy would have a purple paper. So, and I get my red paper from my candidate. You will get your paper from me. And your candidate, your voters will get their paper from you. And for all the candidates, the voters get the paper from the candidate. And you go with your red paper, and everybody knows red belongs to me, so they know they're voting for me. You hold up your paper, something I think that's and then you can just imagine much of the voting took place in a pub, in a bar room, or near a bar room. Why? Because liquor was used as one of the payment, the currency from the voter. So you can imagine how rowdy, disorderly, any word you want to think of like that elections were, even to the point of violence. They have cases where people were killed in the course of the election going on, right there and then, 80-odd, 90-odd people, all kind of things. In Australia, it was similar. But when the secret ballot came in, the government took the responsibility for printing the candidates' names on a paper, right? So to be able to choose the candidate, you have to be able to read the name. And the Southern Americans realized, we got them here. They can't accuse us of going against the 15th Amendment, but they can't vote because they can't read. Can you imagine how diabolical that was for people? So what happened is, prior to the secret ballot, between the Civil War and secret ballot, over 100,000 blacks voted. When the secret ballot entered Mose, the numbers dropped 5,000, all of that by the beginning of the 1900s. They couldn't vote because they couldn't read. And in some southern states, they instituted what I'm going to call a literacy test. That's my name for it. In one case, you have to be able to read whole parts of the Constitution, somebody would read it, then you'd have to explain it. Not even a modern person can do that much sense at that time. But all of that was imposed on the black population. So the secret ballot Mose, for me, is a very dear and treasured thing. I am not into this. And I'm not going to party, I'm not going to go promote it, I'm not getting on it. No, I'm not even going to vote. I'm just informing Belizeans that there is this structure written into international law, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the UN Charter. These are documents that give us the right to a fully and totally secret ballot. Why, Ruth? To eliminate the three problems I named for you. Bribery, coercion, intimidation. But there's a third, power. That is why the Chartists wanted the secret ballot. They were getting the vote for people who didn't have property. And they wanted women to vote too. But all of that was a struggle. And they realized that if you go up against property people, the punishment system would continue. They would take away your lease, they would evict you from your rented premises, they would get you out of your job. All of those were the things done to people. So the Chartists, in their struggle, said, no, if you have a secret ballot and everybody participates, then you have equalized the power base. So it has a purpose. It has a historical purpose for which people paid. They paid a price. They paid a price of imprisonment, expulsion from their homeland, sent to a colony. All of those died. They even died. So it's not something that's a light matter at all. And the British, and you notice when I tell you I voted first, vote 74, that was under the British. That was not a national government. It was a self-government government, but it was under the British. So the German knew that was wrong. They knew it. So my question is, why did you allow it? Why did you allow it in all the black colonies, but in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK, and of course your original colony under the old empire, they all don't have it? Why? You see? And so when I brought it up though, when I called it, I felt it had to go in a discussion format. To just ask Mr. Sylvester, well, do you think that I know what I'm going to be told most? Because this is a fight, this is an argument I've been in before. And I laid out the case, and then when I was going to make three examples of anomalies. One was that I couldn't deal with the divisioning because he said that it was before the court and he wouldn't discuss it. So I raised the matter of having one political party being allowed to field more candidates than there are seats. When that got interrupted, I got taken off the air. I was going to, didn't go there. And I understand that the claim was time and that they needed to come back to have another discussion. But I had taken the discussion into dangerous waters, you know. And I recognized that as it happened. I didn't contemplate it before because these are matters that genuine. I teach this man. I've taught this for over 50 years. You see? So this is something that's very personal and meaningful to me. Very personal and meaningful to me. Because I know the history of it. I know the price people have paid for it. As a matter of fact, this week was celebrated the voters' rights. You remember what happened on the bridge in Selma when the American military, when the Alabama state troopers were released against the protesters. People were beaten almost to death. signing into law of the voters' rights legislation under Lyndon Johnson. Do you recall that, Mose?
Not in great detail. I have a vague idea of that process, no?
So I just am alerting you. This will.
So just to kind of, I hear that. Obviously, I respect your opinion. I did not hear the back and forth. I believe that when we spoke on Monday, most of these, we had a very extended exchange on those issues, to the point where, as you have done before, obviously, you have held myself and this medium accountable, and in fact, if my memory serves me right, I had to say, well, listen, if by being a voice that is one, it's not just a matter of, well, principle of it. I voice the ad that is promoting the coverage of the elections tomorrow, which is a collaboration between ourselves and another media institution. And as is my nature when I do ads, it's not just to give the facts of it. I essentially hype it up, as they would say, that this coverage is going to happen, and that this is, election days is this big, an election day is a big spectacle, and that our coverage is, you want to see it or listen to it, this is the place you should do it. And if that makes me complicit, I said I have to accept that I am guilty of propping up. I think that's the word that I use, of propping up an election that is being conducted that essentially is in conflict with the constitutional requirement of an election that is just, because the Constitution states it very clearly that the respective divisions should be of approximate size, and we've had multiple conversations on this where I have been extremely passionate about the fact that that is not rocket science. If you don't do that, then the votes don't weigh equally, and it means that someone has been done a tremendous disservice and an injustice. So I am on the record, and so if it is that, in your opinion, that by covering the elections, by going on like this, then I am contributing to it, then I did not get into a defensive exchange with you, Ms. Corey. I accepted your position, that is your view on the conduct, and I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to defend myself and get into, I'm not, if somebody criticizes me, somebody points out something to me, and I have respect for that person, and I know that that person is not criticizing me out of malice, but is criticizing me out of anything personal. It is a principle. I have to listen to it, and I give it great thought, as I have done with what you said.
Yes, and what happened on Friday when I got off the air? Well, when my contribution was closed down, then they began the discussion, and Mr. Sylvester, well, his analysis was the traditional one that I have been given by government authority after government authority. Yes, it's well, I am saying this. He implied that it is numbered. He accepts its numbers. He didn't state it categorically. However, the public officers are virtuous people of high principle, so we don't need to worry. But most, public officers into the discussion because they are not part of the discussion. Nowhere in the international legislation do they say, well, you can have the ballot with a mark on it, provided you have a virtuous, honorable public service who won't. They're not the problem. They are not the problem. The problem, remember, starts out with intimidation, coercion, and bribery, and moved on to equalizing power, to give power to the powerless. That is all argued internationally in this matter. And the last thing I want to note that happened, that again, this all came together to sadden me about the media. Okay, so they stopped that discussion, and then they move on to the court case. I understood it to be the case with Mr. Henriquez and the request for an interim order, an injunction to stop the elections. So when that begins to be discussed now, suddenly, what I heard Nuri say in no way was imputing, insinuating, implying any questionable action of the judge. None at all. What I understood Nuri to say was, when he was explaining why he's bringing this discussion point forward, I understood him to say, given that there were hiccups in this case, as it was being heard, another a substitute for giving would be considering that there were hiccups, or in view of the fact that there were hiccups. This is why I think we need to discuss it. That in no way do you hear any imputation of wrong action to the judge in that kind of the statement structured that way?
None whatsoever.
No, I don't hear any.
It sounds.
Nuri was told to retract what he had said.
What's that?
I said the next thing you knew was Nuri was ordered to retract what he had said, seeming my understanding was that what he had said then constituted holding the court in contempt. But that never happened, Mose. That did not happen. Why is that concerning? And then Nuri, he didn't seem to agree, but he then said, well, yes, but he doesn't know if they will come and arrest him over the weekend. I don't know if he was joking about that or that was serious. But Mose, I don't think Nuri should have backed down. I think he should have done a lexical analysis of the point he made, go through each word in the vocabulary that he used, because he didn't do what we were being led to believe he had done. He didn't do it. I didn't hear it anywhere in that. So all of that transpired on Friday, and it's sad. It's sad because all parties are bright men. But you see, I put this in the wider framework mode that the nationalist movement has been particularly devoted to the emasculation of the division mayor. I am sorry, that is my position. A sad position, but that is my position. And it was on full display for me. If my students, if I were a time when I was teaching a class, and my students would have to come to class to do an analysis of that, that is what they would have, we would have been discussing. So if the media moves, the work of the media is a complex one. And one of the things you must do, you must be properly about the subject matter you're going to discuss, especially with an authority figure. If you are bringing an authority figure into the studio, you've been totally prepared. Not prepare and scare and prepare the way we like to do. No. Always assume that that man is super intelligent and you need to or woman, you need to match up to them and be prepared. Because this is what you end up with. You end up with the public being given an example of, I don't know what word, not course, but you know, but don't you think the logical question to ask, why do I need to retract it? Politely, always politely, but don't just give in and then you give the public a bad example of courage. Well, it's an example lacking in courage. You don't see the media as a place where you are teaching your people just the way parents teach their children. The media becomes a place where you can teach your people how to conduct themselves, especially when it comes to power. You don't see that, Mose? You don't agree with that?
I mean, Ms. Corey, I fundamentally, and I have said multiple times that the process of being behind this desk and being in people's living rooms, their bedrooms, their vehicles, wherever it is they're listening or viewing the conversation, that brings tremendous responsibility. At times it's when you really sit and think about it, it's a frightening responsibility at times, because you understand that you have this power of influence, and you have this power of, as you have described it, example setting, and you want to be the best that you can be. And in fact, once you approach it that way, it's not that as a human being, as you are well aware, and I'm being obvious here, but we're not perfect.
Exactly.
And if you do this every morning, as I do and others do, you're going to have better mornings than others.
Exactly.
You're going to have better conversation than others. You will have mornings that you wish you had over. I remember, I think I've said this on air, but I've definitely, when I've been invited to discuss my profession, I often refer to a caller who called in one morning and said, I think we were discussing the ICJ, and the caller said, well, I don't know much about the ICJ, but if Mose said what Mose said, that's why I won't believe. And I accepted that the caller meant well, and it was to compliment me, but it also reverberated deep inside of me, because then it's like, no, no, that's not how it should be. But I understand the power of influence which is inherent in this, right? That I am on a TV and I'm in somebody's radio, and so whether I like it or not, I will have influence. And I'm not saying me alone, like people in this medium, we bear that responsibility, and we should do our very best understanding that responsibility. And again, I can't tell you that I have never failed that responsibility. I totally, absolutely, I have failed that responsibility on a number of occasions, at least when I assess what was required of me and how I should have handled situations. There are times when I've lost my cool, for example, Ms. Corey, when I have gotten into gotten into shouting match. I remember one of the first moments I had when I actually told a caller he should come to the studio and let's fight it out.
So that's why I never.
And that was early on in this process, and I remember being counseled by the late Dr. Tager on it, and he said it's okay to sound like you are upset, but actually being upset is a loser. There's no there, you have to remain within the calmness of your mind because people are listening to the conversation. And even after his counsel, I'm sure that many times thereafter I lost my cool. I think I'm doing better, maybe because maybe that comes with age, but and that's not the only way I've failed. And obviously, Ms. Corey, when you have pointed out, so you point out that we have had this conversation off here as well. You point out that, well, once you have stated something, you feel that there is always going to be somebody brought forward. But I feel that we have an obligation to engage the different positions. I know that Brother Nouri, I have not, but Brother Nouri has had Brother Jerry Enriquez on the show on multiple occasions discussing this matter. I have had the folks from the Belize Peace Movement. I've never been interested in getting somebody from the government side to come and explain. I've never gotten anybody from the Elections Boundaries Commission who I think have failed miserably, and they should be available to answer questions from the media. But getting on the Attorney General, I don't find that to be any type of, I don't think that is improper, but I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree that when we have public officials and higher authorities in this space, it is a moment to be at our very best.
Yes. Anyway, Mo, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
It's 7:37 and we got to go to 2 Cents Calm. It's sponsored by 4 Point Security. We'll take our first break and come back.
You're watching WB, this is XTV, all right? So we're going to find out in the streets how people feel about after election when they're not sitting politician. Because they say all over the election come, then sitting politician. What are your 2 cents?
Well, I don't know who is the politician and I don't know who is who, but I guess for this election I will find out.
That's your 2 cents?
That's my 2 cents.
All right. You see your, rep. After election, you don't sit there again. What are your 2 cents?
Again. That's true. You know, sit there again, and you can't go ask for nothing.
That's your 2 cents? Mm-hmm. All right. You see after when election done, you don't see.
Well, that's a typical situation in Belize, you know. All that ain't big and ask for them, get in a position, and then afterwards, boom, you can't sit in the office, you can't make an appointment, nothing for get any assistance and things after you don't help them out.
That's your 2 cents?
Yeah, my 2 cents.
Don't say. Politicians, they went at a time for election, but after election, how you feel if you know that, you know, you're listening?
We're not sitting again.
All right, that's your 2 cents?
We don't want to sit, we want to sit all the time. We don't want to send people one time.
That's your 2 cents?
That's my 2 cents.
Election? Yeah. Like you're sitting for one campaign?
We are do see this one, you know, where they in, Devin DLA. I will never see father like that after the campaign. So many years.
That's your 2 cents?
Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes on this Tuesday morning, 11th of March 2025. Our telephone number for you to call in is at 280-5848. That's the live line for you to participate in the conversation. Krem, good morning, WB. Good morning.
I got one thing what I'd like to say. That when you got your childhood days, you decided to hustle. You couldn't go to school, you couldn't do nothing. But a man at 9 years old, they talk Spanish, I believe they look down there. For survive, they got to work very, very hard to keep yourself out of trouble. As I grew up, I decided to build big places for I could collect, and that's when you get older. When a man can rent a place, tell them, sign this paper, you got 1 week grace. They live in it 2-3 months, no pay nothing. You finally get on police, so get the paper, get a court. The magistrate can tell you. You know who this man? Yes, who this man $1,500. How you pay? I pay $75 a month. But all I want the people in there to move. Then the magistrate will get another month. So you stay in there another month, broke up the place, broke up the tile, tear up all the screen door, hinge off on the door. There's nothing you could do about it. I'd like to say before the minister get in, when you're a minister get in, for the people, you're a minister, the people. You understand me? I don't want really system do something, but when you go to the court, mandate pay $75. Pay $100 to walk in bed. You go back to the court 3 months later and say, how I could get that money? You can't get that money because of government money and you have to go to treasury, then you have to but 5-6 months before you could collect money, $1,000 or $100 from the court. We have to do something better with the court, man. And for say one minister in that trouble, I write to the mayor, okay, you write down. When you go to the you can't write the mayor, you have to write the administrator, the city administrator. You know, you have nothing. And then the mayor or the minister don't have to answer the phone. They go tell the secretary, tell the man we don't got no money, man. Tell the man we can't do nothing about it, man. I mean, I really, really, it hurts to say how the ministers, they move away from the people after election. They move away, nobody can talk to them. You got to bend upon you talk to one lady have to hear your business, then tell the secretary, then take it out to tell the boss. Remember the good old hair guys by this man, there's a man, separate leader. You could have been talked to Mr. Price anytime. Mr. Raja, you could know the boy I want to see Mr. Raja. You can't, boy, I'm not campaigning 1 o'clock, come back. You know, at least I could talk to you or answer you when you write down letters and say, no, we can't, you not got no money for that. And then the minister have a chief executive officer. He's supposed to go talk to him. You can't talk to him, you can't talk to the secretary. Maybe I want to do something about the school business, man. You go to 9 o'clock, man, they like a Bible leader, you don't know if your name on card, no card. You should know until 12 o'clock. Go inside.
Morning, the great Sir Randy. Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
But you understand the point you have to get about the small man, the punish out there, man. I never had the chance to play marble, run up, raise my kite, I know nothing more that I just know for hustle. And the only thing I know I don't, the only thing I have going for me, take care of people's money. Do a good job.
All right. I have your dear sister on Zoom line. I have to bring her in because of the protest this morning. So I hear you, and with respect, I have to jump.
Please just talk to the minister.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't expect the minister to but I want to see the minister run. You got the days that I live in the corner and pick that street and you know I run the corner pick that street. When Mr. Price, I know it's like saying about it, go to church. So I only continue that. Whatever. Talk to the people in there. Boy, when Mr. President the other day, the minister at the campaign, and he stopped by me, I'm there by the gate, and he stopped by the gate and talked to me. I tell him, like, I hope nobody knows I'm dead, and I hope that I'm here and dead, because it's a miracle You know, you could talk to him, talk to the people, man. Talk to the people. I see them doing things with God's grace. You don't ask nobody nothing, have like one secret. Cut out one piece of the fence, make one U-shape, put the money into one thing there. But when we do not consult nobody, so put it over the lane. Next 2 years, I mean, if I want to fix it, you have to buck that up, you know what I mean? Make we build and build forever, man. Make we help one another, man. Right. Not look down upon people, man. I talk my life story because I want other kids realize that maybe you could make it. When you go to school, teacher tell you to go on education, you know, see street. See the street, I'm not disgrace. To be on camp out there, on camp out work, you do, don't want disgrace. Be on plumber, don't want disgrace. No, we elect ministers, man. Talk to me, please talk to me. No, ignore me like you're the piece of, you know what? For you, one boy 9 years old, black, and inner beliefs, to stay out of trouble and job by itself, you know. Because opportunity come for run rocket, man come bring one box of nails, man come bring thing. 11 o'clock, man, we go around there, I got to put my mind. Where the problem is, God? Boy, I got full tired. I want to see the get bus, I get them tired. Just Kevin, for I feel the heat. Please, Kevin. Before he left, they give me $50 and kick before him. Man, please. You know, trade on battle for survive. And I talk about education. Education is important. I know about it because when I go and see me, that's the office 2-3 hours a man for me go and see me. So it's harder if you know got my education to survive. But not tell me it can't be done. It can't happen. If you know got education, it can't happen.
Always good to hear from you, brother. So Andy, I have to cut you, I have to go to my Zoom. Give thanks to give thanks to
give me a message,
yes, sir. He gone live, man. I don't have to. I don't no second hand. Everything gone straight.
All right, good
man. Do we still have Sister Yaya on Zoom?
Yeah. Guys. Morning. I don't have Zoom. I talk to somebody on the road. All right, brother. Thanks. One love, brother. Thanks. I just need to, morning, everybody. At the protest in front of the Ministry of Education headquarters for Front Street. Now, this is the part where sweet me, right? Then got taxi driver, Ocha. We got his vehicle open up and WB the blast. So I might get some people. I mean, this is the kind of love, right? I don't want to rest them too. WB the blast. Look. I don't know if you can see the vehicle. The vehicle or white vehicle over there. Wait. Anyways, at the Ocha with this sign, I can show you the sign. I'm gonna invest in one good sign. So that in the future, this is the only sign I want to use. You want to see it?
No, you have to improve your skills, sister.
There you go. Wait.
A bit more to the left.
It says government, I believe, stop here discrimination.
All right.
And so at the OCHA, because this is the headquarters for the Ministry of Education, and WUB Educational Foundation started this awareness campaign and activism 185 days ago. So they were calling WUB Morning Vibes talk show. A taxi driver going on. So that at the end of WUB for free. And so I called WUB and I share with people about hair discrimination. What the hair discrimination is unique to Belize, why Belizeans have one right, all Belizeans, whether the students, whether the adults, or place of employment, private or public, who wear their hair however they want. We do have an obligation to have clean hair, that we do. So WUB Educational Foundation, we advocate for African descendants, which realize as Black people. And most of the time, the Black people, they experience hair discrimination. That means when they go to school, they tell you how they got school rules. These school rules are leftovers from when the British, in a Belize case, colonizers were there, and then adhere to European standard of beauty. That means for them hair texture different for we want, they wear different hairstyles sometimes. And what they said to we, Black people, is that you're not enough. Remember, they look for we enslaved ancestresses and ancestors as property, chattel, slave, enslaved people. So it's important that in 2025, we organize and we make the government of Belize know. And I never intend for Komocha that twice a month for protest, I don't walk from Ladyville to Belize City last Tuesday. At the Ocha again this Tuesday, because they say strike when the fire is hot. and toward the election, so to make them know, all aspiring politicians who may form the next government of Belize, this is the priority for African descendants racialized as black people, that we good. The Creator make we perfect with we here just the way they, regardless of the texture. You know, they have different hair textures now, like from 1 ABC to 4 ABC, depending on the texture. It could wavy, it could curly, it could coil, it could straight. And you have the right to wear your hair with locks, cornrow. And I say this cornrow right away, right? But here, magician again, Malika Wagner, back at Jane Osha. I tell you, I really, and when I come out of my house this morning, I never know cold from there. And I'm not used to my scalp to get so much of the elements from it. But if that sun, it feel good. The liquid here knock me good in my scanner. But it's not so cold right now, which I'm up on North Front Street, North side Belize City. I'm usually up on South side Belize City. But anyway, most of the run off and I don't give a chance to say nothing, as usual.
That's par for the course. That's when you have calls or when you have visits. That's just, I don't used to it. So how did it end up last week when you, because when we spoke to you, you were not yet at your destination. You were on your way. How did that work out? It was
really good. It was really good, Mose. The first time my sister Mahogany and me do on dry run on the 9th of January, I take lick because I never made a train. But then I trained for 2 months because I noticed I'm in action where we want to take. And so my body in a better condition than it was in January. I feel like I can run back to Ladyville, but I just in my mind I feel so. But one issue that we have is that you should have a permit from the police department when you protest. I started the protest, I think, in 2012. And I always get one permit. I don't have one permit today because they don't want to give me one with my rag drop. They don't want to give me a permit. So I come out here without a permit. So really, Marcel and the Ocha till 12 o'clock if the police not come and arrest me before that for the protest without a permit. Marcel just texted me, that's why I said that. So I don't have one permit for the Ocha today. But on the 2nd of January, UEF sent in writing for a permit. And then we adjust the permit request, I think the 6th of January, to say we change the location and the date. Now, you see how long then got we action for whole January, February. I said to hell with it. March, I want act. Then do what I have to do. And I come out here twice a month for come protest. So it's once a month I walk from Ladyville to here in front of the Ministry of Education building on North Front Street. And then I'll come out the second Tuesday after that time, stay out from 8 to 12 protesting for bring attention to this injustice. And then we also broaden the campaign for say the Labor Department also need to sit down with we because employees have the right to go to work with the private or public sector. And again, it's all Belizeans, but I focus, or you have to focus specifically for African descendants racialized as black people, I believe.
All right. So you're going to be out there until what time, sister?
I'm out here until 12 o'clock today.
Okay.
And you see the sun down the pop already, but all right, I got my cap, I got my shades, I got my water. And believe me, Belizean people are always love. I don't know, most of the time, and you know why I choose out here? I know why I choose Tuesday, because then cruise ship tend to come in on Tuesday, right? And I want to internationalize the concern. So I say a man just know what look like. You know how old people still look like, they refine people who come from states. So I said, where you come from? He look at me and say, how you mean where I come from? I come from Last Bank. I said, okay, you come from Last Bank. Then when they had back, he said, well, actually I come from New York. I said, I know you come from foreign, and you look refined, you got to try. Come from foreign. So the intention is, I hope our cruise ship come in today, and that people say see me out at the protest. As to take pictures that the guy just now say and share the picture where he take with me, because he going back to New York. And so that's important, and that is said to Belizean people. Unless we organize enough we best interests, we know and get what we want. And not necessarily the numbers of people. Say, politicians chase numbers. So it's something need to get done, and I really have the ability to do it. I want to do it. And we African ancestors and ancestors always the Ocha with we, and that's just the truth. And I said to people, when UEF organized along with Image Factory to make the name Pastor Building after one enslaver, the name wasn't, they never named it what they want. They never named it what we want. We still call it 1919 Plaza, but the point is, they never named it after the enslaver. that now win for the people. When I want to name August 1st Freedom Day, and I pass the law for name it, then change the law because of UAF and community support. And that happened. When I change Emancipation Day and if I want to celebrate it on the day of the week, it take 1 year, but then change it. So I decided UAF have examples where we organize again with extreme community support and changes happen. So this mindset of believing that something stay and nothing will change, that are in your mind, that are your enslaved mind. Trust the process, do the work, get the knowledge, because nobody knows how to save we. Only the people want to save the people.
Give thanks, sister. All the best. And have a great morning. We got to go to break. We'll be back.
Enhanced service and faster sickness benefit claim processing are at your fingertips with SSB's healthcare feature, accessible via the My Social Security self-service portal. Your convenience during illness is key.
right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Believes Morning Vibes, Tuesday morning, 11th March 2025. Mose Hyde in the house with you, and we are inviting your participation as always. A little bit behind schedule with our breaks, so very short while we're going to go back to a break, but still, invitation is there for you before or after the break. Once we're there live, you are invited to link. The number to call is 280-5848. It's, again, we're coming off a 3-day weekend. We've not had the chance to just, I guess, deal with the mess that it was. I'm sure that there were beautiful aspects of the weekend, and for most, it was a good weekend either for rest or recreation, whether it is you went out to the riverside to see the canoe race, or you came out, Seashore Drive, check out the sailing regatta. I was out at the sailing regatta on Sunday, that was lovely. Or you just stayed at home, relax and chill out, do your thing. While all that was happening, of course, it's Belize. So we had mayhem and chaos unfold, violence, and unfortunately violence that led to tragic deaths. So we had, in all, 3 individuals who were killed, and the general view that there is a escalating conflict going on right now, that it's not just some isolated situations, that there is an escalating beef, as is known by many people, going on, and we have scenarios where we have a vehicle with people who had been shot that ended up crashing into the College Memorial Hospital as they were trying to get to the hospital to get care. Unfortunately, the driver, I believe, of that vehicle succumbed to his injuries. I was told, you know, one of our very own was near the vicinity of the hospital, was actually outside when it happened, said he narrowly dodged getting an injury or worse as that vehicle lost control and collided into the hospital. And so it's a very tense time. We've not heard, but I imagine that at some point today the police are going to be giving a report, and it's all happening. It's, as you know, for just all this fireworks and all this unfortunate loss of life, sad loss of life, those people who have lost a loved one. And we're talking here about, as far as I could see, we have 3 very young men who passed, who were killed over this weekend in this non-stop cycle of violence that we have experienced here. And so there is a sense of anxiety, there is a sense of genuine fear from people in the community. Whenever you have a scenario where, yes, it's one thing for there to be murders, but when those murders are part of a big conflict and it's escalating, people are very concerned. And so that's where we are. I can't speak to the nature of the conflict insofar as, you know, but I know based on especially social media, again, later on we get a sense from the police what they feel is going on. But definitely, while it's, you know, it's like one of the best weekends of the year, it's the March 9th weekend, and it's usually good weather, and we had some good weather, a lot of fun activities for communities to enjoy. Well, there was that, but the background noise of all of that, the background turbulence is death, bloodshed, and violence, and grieving, because that's what comes with that. Grieving people, hurt, sad, angry. They've lost people that they love, that means something to them. And, you know, it's like, it's that whole cycle again. And we have to offer condolences to those who have lost loved ones and are dealing with the fallout, and also to those immediate areas that are being affected significantly by the possibility of retaliation and the ongoing beef, ongoing conflict as it goes on. So we're looking at 3 young brothers just again, we don't know what happened. We're told in one instance that one of the victims was not even the intended victim. You know, that's and to some extent that is worse, because you know, if you are not having a problem, if there's no problem, you are just vulnerable to everything. You're not even looking out for the potential of being harmed. And so we extend our condolences to the family and just join the community in just regretting just this loss of valuable, irreplaceable lives. And they've left holes that will never ever be healed. We won't talk about it, it will be out of the news, but for those who had those genuine close relationships with the people who get killed, they don't really ever recover. It's really not ever a beautiful road for them. They have lost somebody that means a whole lot. And so we were going to spend a little bit more time talking about that this morning, but the way the WUB is, our conversation is extremely flexible, and to a great extent our callers determine how we flow. But yeah, we could not have the morning go by without just recognizing this reality, this very painful and unpleasant reality that is a major part of our community. Unfortunately, it's been so for a long time. We're going to go to break and come back.
En Belice valoramos a
All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Believes Morning Vibes. Tuesday morning, the 11th of March, 2025. Mose Hyde hosting WB today. Our telephone number for you to call in is at 280-5848. That is the live line for you to participate in the conversation. Of course, as always, feel very invited, feel very welcome. We love when you call in. You might not want to talk about what we are talking about, but that doesn't mean a thing to us. That's just how it works. Change topics instantly once you call. So again, the number is 280-5848. Let me just mention here that tomorrow morning's election, well, tomorrow is election, and just in case you missed it, I don't know how, we have been promoting the fact that once again we are going to be collaborating with our colleagues over at Channel 7, and so we extend an invitation to you to join our coverage, which is going to be from tomorrow morning. We're going to start at 6 o'clock, and it's going to go through the entire day until the results have been finalized and confirmed. And that's, you know, anybody's guess. It's usually sometime around midnight, a little bit after midnight, depends. But overall, while every single constituency might not be final, there usually is some clear picture as to who has won by midnight. But there have been times when it's gone beyond that, and that's just the way it works. And so throughout the day, we will have our respective reporters and correspondents throughout the country in all of the available constituencies. It's not 31, it's this unprecedented election day where you are not going to have all 31 constituencies with an actual election day polling. It's not going to happen in 2 constituencies. So tomorrow we have 29 reports coming your way throughout the day, and we will have in studio panelists. We're going to vary that. It's not one set of panelists. We'll have separate segments with different panelists through the day. And so we extend an invitation to you. We are obviously confident that is the best available coverage you're going to get tomorrow for the election. And so we really want to see you all come and, you know, link and watch. Of course, it's going to be available on both networks simultaneously. It's a simulcast. It's going to be available on Kerm Radio. It's going to be available on our respective Facebook pages or respective YouTube pages. So there's actually not very much of a problem in trying to access the coverage. So we really want you to join it, and we will do our very best to make sure that you're kept on top of everything. That's really what we are committed to, make sure that we're on top of every single thing. It's the big shilling doting coverage, and it's an election, it's a general election. It's a process by which you determine the people who are going to represent you. Obviously, the spirit of that is very different from how it really plays out. But what technically tomorrow is to be about is the facilitation of the people's being involved in the nitty-gritty of their national space and happenings, lawmaking and all of that, decision-making. It's to facilitate the collective participation in that. And so, in theory, you'll find out who will be doing that on your behalf tomorrow. You choose a person that does that on your behalf. And so, it is not, you know, to choose somebody to be the boss of you. You're choosing someone to work on behalf of you. That is the theory. That's the technical thing was supposed to happen tomorrow. Unfortunately, that is not how it works out in actual real life. In real life, what you have is the way the system has, in my view, how it has been malformed, the way how it has been completely turned upside down. The reality is, and it works both ways, we are of a thinking that tomorrow we choose who will be the bosses. We believe that by voting we surrender that status as being the boss, as being the one being represented. It's really there in the very name. It's choosing your representative. And for someone to represent you, I don't know how, if you have ever had somebody represent you, but if you understand what representing you means, is that that person is, if you send somebody somewhere on your behalf, that person is not free to do or to engage or to say or to do of his own feeling. What that person is duty bound to do is to have a sense and to know, to be in touch, so that they're always aligned with what you feel, what you want, with what you are committed to, your priorities, and on your behalf. So the chasm between what it's supposed to be and how it functions is way too wide. It's way too wide, because in between tomorrow and whenever the next election is called, there are few opportunities for you to be involved in how you are represented, and that, unfortunately, it has been consistent for a while. So tomorrow, election, in theory, it's about just finding somebody who is going to be the face and the physical presence of what the collective beliefs and priorities and positions are in these respective divisions or constituencies. That's how it's supposed to be. We will go and take ourselves our final break and come back and wrap up.
On Wednesday, 12th March 2020,
All right, we're locking it off for today. Tomorrow will not be WB, it's going to be election day, so our coverage will be a collaboration with ourselves and our colleagues at Channel 7. That starts at 6 in the morning. All right, until they're done, till we know the results. That's how it's going to work tomorrow. And then tomorrow, Thursday morning, we come back to WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. In the meantime, of course, we invite you to stick around. Network stay lit with the big morning stew conversation that comes up in a few. We've got to thank the team Larry G at Creme Radio here at XTV, the Glue, Mr. Cliff Flores, the director this morning, Miss Alexi Belad. For right now, stand strong, stand firm. We're gone!